I think sometimes in our darkest moments we make the best jokes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the first thing I want to ask you about is that from the get go, from the very beginning of the series, we get the element of the surreal. We have a dream, Santita's dream. And in the next episode, she fantasizes about something. How do you incorporate this into the series? These elements of the surreal, the fantasy, the dreams.
Well, this was a big part of the concept for the series from the very beginning. We always knew that we wanted to incorporate her subconscious or unconscious through
Mhm.
the dream world and the fantasy life that she had.
Something else that is interesting about the dreams is that in the dreams she's always walking or dancing or skating.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did that intuitively. And then when we started working with the disability consultant, Maria Angel Garcia Ramos, she told us that one of the things she liked about the script is that she herself, she has never had a dream in which she's in a wheelchair.
Wow.
So she said that was pretty accurate.
I have to ask, why Tijuana and why 2019?
Well, Tijuana was Rodrigo Garcia, like the very first thing he said to us, even before we came up, he mentioned character. He said, I want you guys to help me to develop a series for me that will be set in Baja California, in
Mhm.
Tijuana.
He had just spent a lot of time there making a film.
2019, because we developed the series in 2021, and then abortion became legal in Mexico
Ah, okay.
after we had already developed the series, and it was just a matter of saying, well, since we want to keep telling this particular story,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be before.
But also, I think it's really interesting, especially when we're thinking about this character who has so many complexities, so
Mm-hmm.
many dichotomies where, she's a sinner, she's a saint, she's open, but she keeps secrets, all of these things. It's sort of interesting to think of, a border town kind of thematically that,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of, exploration of things on the borderline, emotionally and
People are in transition
yeah.
at the border.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I thought that was really interesting too, and I thought it brought that um
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah. And Rodrigo from the beginning also said no narcos in the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
gonna be that
It's
kind of,
not that
not at
good of
all.
a
It
show.
never,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
And
Sometimes, sadly, is the first thing we think about when we are talking about, well, most of Mexico, but especially the northern
yeah,
states.
Yeah.
especially the North. And
Yeah.
I think that that was another interesting thing
Hmm.
to explore as well, that yeah, it's not, it's that's not that's not all there is,
Of
in
course.
the north of Mexico. It's not all narcos. We can have a story that has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And I think that was interesting and not to say important to do, but interesting to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The themes that it conveys are very hard to explore.
Hmm.
Abortion,
Hmm.
sexual abuse, etc., violence against women,
Hmm.
especially against disabled women.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then it has those sparks of humor that
Hmm.
come from the character and makes it easier to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always wanted to make sure that there was a lot of humor in the show because I think lots of people, I do, use humor as a way to protect themselves
Yeah.
and
It's a
to,
Hmm.
weapon too.
to yeah, yeah, a weapon
It,
and armor, you know, a
A
way that,
defense mechanism, you
yes,
know?
there we go. That's perfect.
against reality, against tragedy, against suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is there's that old saying, at least I think it's an old saying, if you, you know, you have to laugh or else you'll cry, So
Hmm.
I think,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think many people, try to navigate the difficulties of life with humor, and
Hmm.
you know, it's what helps to keep them sane and helps to protect them, and
I think sometimes in our darkest moments we make the best jokes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Rodrigo Garcia, how was your relationship with him? Because he, through his career in movies, especially, he has a very special sensibility
Hmm.
Mhm.
to handle women subjects.
Hmm.
He's the kind of person, and I think this is why he's so known for his deep and complex, you know, female characters, is that he is a person who's really interested in everyone and in their story, and you know,
Hmm.
he asks questions, he listens,
Hmm.
he yeah, he's just an interested, empathetic person.
How did you guys come up with the idea? Because sometimes we think it's maybe based on a real story. It is
Hmm.
not based on a real story.
No, it's
No.
So,
not.
how did you come up with it?
Well, we started with the character. Uh, well, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, once Rodrigo approached us to make to develop a series with him, he knew what he wanted to be set in Tijuana. He knew that he wanted to explore the concept of sin. He knew that he wanted this kind of humor and complex characters. And when we started
Hmm.
talking about it, and the character of Santita emerged in these conversations, and Rodrigo, I remember he was the one who said, well, she should be a wheelchair user, right? And he had a notion for this character, and she just kind of took over the conversation. Like the in the series, she takes over every room she walks into. She took over
Hmm.
the series, right? At one point, we said, well, series has to be about her, and then since it was about sin and conflict, and we had already been thinking about different conflicts like the ones with her brother, right? Or
I mean, the thing is that once we decided to focus on this character of Santita, then you start asking questions to build the backstory of the character. And once you start answering those questions and you start knowing the character more and more, it's easy to see where those those facts that
yeah,
you're creating about the character are pointing in terms of like what is the plot, what is the story we're going to tell,
yeah,
and it starts sort of giving you um like little hints as to where the story should go based on who the character is. And
yeah.
I think that was really where how we
If
developed the
yeah, if you know the characters, the plot will follow, I
hmm
think is what
Hmm.